Non-Japanese people living in Japan. What is the downside about living in Japan no one talks about? 1. My buddy is Vietnamese and grew up in Southern California, then moved to Japan for work. He always felt SoCal was a little racist, but it was nothing like Japan. In Japan, Vietnamese are often uneducated immigrant workers, and are seen as the lowest class. My buddy's Japanese wasn't amazing, it was his third language. And he dressed like a California skater. He would be refused service at restaurants, not allowed into stores, and called boat trash. He eventually learned to dress in expensive suits and only speak English. Playing up his Americanness. He still had an old woman ask, "Who taught a dummy like you English?" Embarrassed smiley face emoji. 2. Japan is a duality in so many ways, and if you live there for a while the more superficial layer starts to chip away and you start to see some interesting things. I really try to look at it as not better or worse, just different, but that can be really hard at times. Japanese people are generally very respectful, kind, welcoming, polite, and interested in other cultures. Traveling there is safe, and it's refreshing to be treated so well by default. But under the surface there's deeply ingrained misogyny, racism, and ageism. It doesn't necessarily manifest in day-to-day interactions, but stay there long enough and you'll see its impact. For example, it's important in Japan for tea to be served to guests, but it doesn't matter how much authority a woman has, if she's the only woman around she prepares the tea. I visited a company for work where the department head was a woman and her employees were all men. She prepared the tea. The only time a man served me tea was when there were literally no women around, then it was the youngest man's job. Racism usually manifests as genuine curiosity, and if you look different you can feel like a movie star. You'll hear constant surprise that you can use chopsticks or speak a word of Japanese, but that's pretty innocuous, if tiresome. But try to get a driver's license, open a bank account, get a job, or buy a car and you'll see the rampant systemic racism in action. Westerners also love the extremely punctual and efficient public transportation, perfect queuing, polite customer service, and general quietness in public spaces. But all of that comes from extremely rigid social standards. You will do a perfect job at work to make sure the trains are always on time, you will queue respectfully, you will be quiet. They have a saying that the nail that sticks up will be hammered down. Conformity to the group is mandatory, and if you wish to deviate you have to do it in the accepted spaces. It results in bonkers artwork, wild after-work parties, crazy sex culture, etc. because when they're allowed to let loose they absolutely do. But it's very different from Western culture and can be a difficult trade-off. There's a lot more stuff like that. A kind of utopian surface that visitors tend to appreciate, built on top of difficult or even dark concessions of freedom for the individual. The importance of personal freedom and liberty in all areas of life is what I grew to appreciate about America after living there for a long time. I still struggle with those trade-offs. For example, the US is so focused on individual liberty that we're basically fine with frequent massacres of our children, and the grocery store is an absolute main character syndrome nightmare. I wish we could find a middle ground of mutual respect but also a fundamental importance of individual freedom.